Hi. Now we're going to be looking at scaling. Now scaling is one of those things that is quite easy to do once you understand what's going on. But the important thing with scaling is you need to make sure that everything is set up prior to trying to do the scaling. One is in your model space. When you go to your model space, everything that's drawn in here is of a scale of just 1. There's no units applied, there's no centimeters, no millimeters, no kilometers, nothing. Okay? It's just 1. So you draw according to that. You do set your units though to what you'd like it to be. Now in here we've got our scale of units is set at meters. Okay, I'm using length type decimal and I'm actually using the precision of 00. Now with you just need to set all this up prior to doing your scaling so you've got an idea of what's going on. Lighting, that's all to do with the way it's rendered, so don't worry too much about that, but the main important things here is scaling meters. You have all these different types of scale you can use, but at the moment just keep it in meters because as you can see this is quite a large area, so I'd suggest to do it in meters. Click OK. The other place that you really need to look at for as far as your scaling is go to your drawing settings, just here. With your drawing settings you do probably recognize this screen because we have touched on this before, and at this point I'm going to set everything up ready to go again. Now in here we're not using feet, we're using meters or metric. This is more to do with the way you import something, but look, keep it as is. 1 to 1000 means that it's 1 to 1. 1 millimeter equals 1 meter. Okay. But what I am going to set now is your area. And again, you know all the settings here. 55, map 55, you know how to get that. And click OK. Well, you shouldn't notice any changes to this because it shouldn't affect it. The only thing I've zoomed in so you can actually see is that particular point there that gets inserted, and that's all. All that is to tell you that the world map has been applied to this design. Okay, so it's all set up ready at this end. The other thing you need to keep in mind is our model space has its own scale, so does our paper space. Now this one shouldn't be scaled, you need to leave this as 1 to 1, and where that's actually done again, and you would have noticed it from in the beginning, is right hand click down here, go to the paper setup manager, go to the plot A3, click modify, and inside this it's telling us that we need to scale it 1 to 1. Now at the moment it's saying 1 inch equals 1 foot, but when you notice down here it says millimeters or inches, we need millimeters to units, and that should be 1 millimeter equals 1 unit. Okay, if you go 1 to 1 over here, I've noticed that it jumps from 1 millimeter equals 0.01 of a unit. You can't use that because when you do that, that will scale the piece of paper that it's going to. If you go 1 to 1000, it does go 1 to 1, so 1 millimeter equals 1000 millimeters, or a meter. Okay? Or you can use this particular setting here, which is 1 to 1 underscore 1, which again is 1 unit to 1 millimeter. It's really important that you do that and you understand that this paper needs to be set at 1 to 1. Click OK, click close. You shouldn't notice anything change here. If you do notice a change, either this page goes smaller and bigger, you have scaled it, so you need to make sure that that doesn't happen, because when you print it out on paper it needs to be printed out what's on screen 1 to 1. Once that's set, we know that both our model space is set and our paper space is set. Now we can start to do some scaling. Now in here, if you double click the viewport area, you'll activate the viewport, and you'll notice you'll have these tools come up. If you do zoom extends, you'll notice that it will fit basically to the page, and when you look down here, your scale is some sort of number. Now we might look later on at how that's all working, but there are some formulas that you use to work out these particular figures. But for you at this point in time, my suggestion is you need to use a proper scale on here. Now what you do notice when you click on it, because we use the default template, it's put these default scales in, and you'll notice something down here that it only goes to 1 to 1000, so that equals basically 1 unit of model space equals 1 unit of paper space. So 1 millimeter equals 1 meter. Okay, now I'm going to put it on that, and you'll see something will happen. Now we zoom right in. Okay, it's too big. We can't actually get our design on there, so we need to find another scale that we can use for doing this exercise. So let's go back into this again, and we have a look here, and there's really nothing else. Now when you scroll down, we can use all these other US type scale functions, but it's not what we need. What we need to do now is go to this Customize section. Now the Customize section gives us some options. We can actually create our own scales. At this point in time, 1 to 1, 1 foot to 1 inch equals 1 paper millimeter to 1 meter in the drawing. What we need to do is we need to reset this. Now resetting basically gets rid of all of this metric imperial stuff, and so when I go reset here, it's going to ask me, do I want both scales, metric and imperial, or do I just want metric scales? And for us, because we're in Australia, we need metric scales. When you do apply that, it just changes all those to a metric scale, and you'll notice here now that you've got 1 to 1000, but you've also got 1 to 2000, which is 1 millimeter to 2 drawing meters or 2 drawing units. Now have options to select all of these new scales when we come into our paper scale. For this exercise we're going to say 1 to 5000, but it's still too small. You notice that we can't fit this whole drawing in, which means we've run out of options when it comes to our preset scales here, so we need to start customizing our own. So to do that, you bring up the dialog box again to customize. We need to add a new one. Anything here we're going to actually double, so we've got 1 in 5000. What we need is 1 in 10,000, so 1 colon 10,000. 10 zeros, and down here we need to, instead of 5 units, we need to make it 10 units, and click OK. Click OK again, and now we should have available to us that new scale that we did create of 1 in 10,000. So when we select that now, again you see it does scale back, but it's nowhere near enough to fit everything in that we need on this page. So let's do another alteration, and we actually customize another one, and this time we're going to go in 1 in 20,000. We thought 10,000 sort of fits, we'll try 20,000 next. So add a new one, 1 20,000, and down here we're going to put 20 drawing units in. Click OK, click OK, and now we're going to apply it to this particular design, 1 in 20,000. And as you can see, it is a little bit too small. If you want it like that, that's fair enough, but I'm not happy with it. I'd like it to be a little bit smaller so it fits pretty much perfectly with inside the page. So again, go back to our customize, and we're going to halve that 1 in 20,000. 1 in 10,000 is too big, 1 in 20,000 is too small, so we're going to go for something in the middle. So we're going to add 1 in 15,000. Okay, and again our paper units is still 1 millimeter to our drawing space, which is 15 units. Click OK and click OK. Let's go back into here and select our 1 in 15. Now that looks pretty good actually. What you can do now is, if you're happy with that, is you can move this around. The scale won't change down here. So let's go and actually add it into our scale down here. So let's zoom in, but you'll notice that the zoom actually zoomed the viewport. Because we've got that selected, it zoomed that. And that means we need to zoom out again, but the problem is we can't get it perfect again. We need to actually go in here and manually reset it. 15,000, and now to stop us from moving that around, we position it where we need to. What you can do is lock it down here. So it locks the viewport to stop us from actually moving and editing it. So now you can see we can zoom on the paper. We can come in here and select it, and what did I say? 1 in 15,000. Escape. And what you'll notice is it isn't quite right, so let's just shift it across a little bit so it fits on the page nicely. Escape, and that's our scale entered in for this particular sheet. Okay. You can change all your other information here. My suggestion is to. And pretty much this is ready to publish. To plot this is very simple now. Because everything has been set up, we know that this is an A3 sheet, we know that it's set up to a particular printer, and all it really requires us now to do is just actually print it. So to plot this, we need to go to print. Because we set up this sheet with the PDF creator, I'm going to leave it as it is. Our sheet size is A3. I'm going to say the layout that's currently in front of you is the one that we need to use. Do not scale it. And again, notice down here our scale is 1 to 1000. 1 millimeter equals 1 unit. So the page will not be scaled when it goes to the printer itself. Again, we're not applying any of these styles. You can do that on your own. And again, it's ready to go. But last thing I'd suggest to do before you plot it is look, have a preview, see what it looks like on screen. And again, you can see, because mine's an education pack, you will have that in there. But that looks pretty good to me. And all I really need to do now is print it. Now, you can actually shortcut to go to printing. Instead of actually going back out of this and going and printing again, just click the plot icon there. And again, this is a PDF document. And what will happen is it will come up with a PDF there. So I'll just click save. Leave it there, okay? Off it goes. Publishing this document. That's my finished job. Okay, now if I was printing this to a black and white printer, of course, that will be black and white. What it does tell me down here is it has plotted, there's been no errors. And again, that's it.